Hi, Daryl.
Hello, boys.
Could there be an offer today? I'm getting a sneaking suspicion we could hear about an offer today.
I think that within the next 24 to 36 hours, we might have a new head coach.
Whoa, Daryl.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dangerous Daryl.
Wow.
Setting this studio on fire.
Jeez.
All right, Daryl, so who do you think
Wasn't ready for
do you
that.
think it's going to be?
You know, for about a week and a half, I was sold that it was absolutely going to be Grant Udinski, but I'm leaning toward Nate Shieldhouse. I mean, they go to LA today.
Oh, an about face. Wow. Took it on one road, then the other.
Oh.
That's the best thing about the Rams losing last night was that we're not going to have to wait until after the Super Bowl to get a coach.
Oh, baby.
So,
Daryl, this information, it's like Billy Joel in the Hamptons all over. Look at you.
If he tells us who the quarterback is next year, starting week 1, then be prepared to be
what do
blown
you
away.
got, Daryl? Who are you picking?
Is it Jimmy
Right.
G?
Right now, Shedeur Sanders.
Whoa.
Tell you what, you get Shieldhouse. Brees Hall, I think, going to be a free agent, right? There's history. I'm just saying, there's history. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to turn my phone over now so it doesn't light up. All right. Daryl, so what do you, would you be, I think we've gotten ourselves ready. I think at worst, I think some people are going to be nonplussed. I don't know if anybody's going to be mad because, I think Schwartz is obviously going to stay.
Right.
He'll be the defensive coordinator. Now, I hope that Jim doesn't run over, I should say, either of these two guys that they could get. I mean, Shieldhouse, I think it's just going to have to come down to a lot of hope for Browns fans that either Shieldhouse or Udinski were to be able to get this thing going because there's going to need to be some understanding this coming year because, again, how much better can they really get in one season?
Well, there's going to be a lot of growing pains. First-time head coaches, really limited experience, from the coordinator standpoint. We had Mary Kay on the show yesterday, and she kind of echoed some of the things that I had been saying since this search began. And it's not so much about the X's and O's. It's about finding someone that's a great leader that can lead the football team. You're going to have, the X's and O's are going to work themselves out. That's not going to be an issue. The play calling, that's going to work itself out. It's about, do you have great leadership from the head coach position and that resonating within the locker room, the players buying in, the players executing what is being called. I mean, that's a big part of it. I see a lot of comments on social media about, well, it's going to be nice that the Browns are going to have motion back in their offense. Well, they've had motion in their offense. The problem is it usually has resulted in illegal formation penalties and false start penalties. They've not executed correctly, so they kind of had to dial it back because, well, the players aren't doing it right. So that's what this is going to come down to, and I think fans are just going to have to understand that back to growing pains 101 when it comes to the head coach, and you hope that whether it's Udinski, whether it's Shieldhouse, they're going to grow into this job, and it's going to be worth it. What's going to be challenging is you look at the two teams in the Super Bowl. One coach is in year 2, one coach is in year 1. They're in the Super Bowl. They turn it around. Now, yes, the quarterback has a tremendous part of this whole thing when it comes to the turnaround, but the fact that you're seeing these teams turn it around in a year is going to be frustrating for Browns fans because I don't think that the Browns are turning this thing around in a year.
Do the Browns think they're turning this thing around in the year?
Well, I think that maybe I'm just going off of what Jimmy Haslam said the day they fired Kevin Stefanski. His focus was on the fact they won 8 games in 2 years, and that's very real. And then Andrew Berry came out and basically said the exact opposite, that there was the developmental issue, right? There were things independent of the outcomes of the games that they were frustrated and unhappy with. So right now I kind of feel like the front office has a pretty good realistic expectation about where they're at. And Jimmy Haslam right now, he's getting ready to try and sell very expensive PSLs and suites in a brand new dome. So he has to sell the winning aspect of this. So It's going to be interesting to see how those two different things play out because in all reality, the offense has to be rebuilt this offseason. Offensive line, wide receivers, got to figure out the quarterback thing, probably need another tight end. There's a lot to do on that side of the football. And as Andrew Berry says time and time again, you can't fix it all in one offseason.
What do you think about the process of they were going through, the essays that we heard about? Because Lima brought up, he goes, I talk to a lot of people around the league. Lima talks to more people than we think. And you had said, Lima, that there's always a lot of personality tests more than we think. The essay thing, there were some people who were downright nasty around the league about the essay thing. And Daryl, I try to understand it as best I can because I want things to work out for him. But I don't know. What are you going to give me? 1,800 words on why you think you should be the Browns coach? What's the reasoning behind that?
Well, the essay thing was denied to me by folks that I spoke to.
So where does this come from Tom? Why does Tom Pelissero say that then?
Well, here's I think where it comes from. And I talked about this over the weekend. They have been asking for detailed philosophy, right? Detailed philosophy on offense, on defense,
well, that's
on the existing person. Yeah, I call it job interview preparation. And so I think that's where the essay and the homework stuff comes from, that the Browns are asking maybe for a little more from their interview candidates than, other teams do. And you know what? You know me. I'm first in line to kill these guys because they pretty much deserve it. But in this case, I'm actually going to defend them. Their goal is to find somebody that aligns with them philosophically. And, Andrew Berry's still going to be the top football guy here. The ownership has made that decision. Whether you and I agree or disagree with that is immaterial at this point. Andrew Berry's staying. So this next head coach has to align philosophically with Andrew Berry and this front office and the way they go about doing things. So I really don't have a problem with them asking maybe for a little more detail on philosophy and schemes and personnel and whatnot, because I just consider that to be part of the interview process. And you look at a couple of these candidates that they have talked to, the Nate Shieldhouses and the Grant Udinskis of the world, what do people say about them? They say these guys are football savants. They're geniuses. You'd be crazy not to bring them into your organization. They outsmart everyone. Well, I mean, what has the Browns' philosophy been? They've been trying to outsmart people. So that's why I really feel like this whole thing comes down to Udinski and Shieldhouse. Maybe Anthony Lynn joins the coaching staff in some capacity. Maybe Todd Monken joins the organization in some capacity. And as we know, Jim Schwartz, they apparently have already gotten commitments from both these young candidates that they would stick with Jim Schwartz as the defensive coordinator.
Daryl Ruiter with us right now talking some Browns football. If I would have told you that you'd be down to these three individuals back in, let's say, October, when the season seemed to be getting away from them, what do you think you would have said? What do you think most Browns fans would have said?
I would have scratched my head and said, why don't you just stay the course with Kevin? Now, I understand why they didn't stay the course with Kevin. I get it. But, I don't think they're going to win the press conference, but that's not what's important. I know we focus on that. I know fans focus on that, but that's not they need to start winning football games. They've won a few press conferences, and that hasn't helped them either. They've lost a lot of press conferences. That hasn't helped them either. So for me, it comes down to players. It comes down to players executing, and this coaching staff, however it ultimately shapes out, not just with the head coach, but the coordinators, the position coaches, et cetera, because now there's going to be some deeper changes on the staffs. These coaches got to get the most out of their players. Jim Schwartz, I think, has gotten the most out of his defensive guys, and that's why he's going to stick around. But can they get the most out of right now what is not a lot of offensive talent? It'll get supplemented this offseason. We'll see where those supplements come from. But, can you get the most out of them? Because you look at again, like the Patriots with Drake May, it's not like they were scoring 28 points per game, okay? They were doing just enough in some of these games offensively to get them by, and their defense was playing really, really well. Look at the Seattle Seahawks. They got their new version of the Legion of Boom, so to speak. So, that's, I think, what frustrates Browns fans even more is that you had a defense capable of doing what the Broncos, the Seahawks, the Rams, and the Patriots have been doing this year, and you're the one that's shopping for yet another head coach while those teams were playing for a Super Bowl berth.
Daryl Ruiter, brought to you by Scheibin Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. So what do you think it would be the plan of attack? Because whoever you get, and Lima, we might have to just talk about Nate Shieldhouse and what we actually know. Some people want to know some things here. So I understand that there's a connection, even though I've never met the man. We'll have to talk about that coming up at 8:45. However, what do you think would be the plan of attack in free agency with either one of these guys, the two new guys? We could go over Schwartz, but either way, what would be the plan of attack in assembling a coaching staff? We should probably go coaching staff before we talk about any of the other players.
Yeah, I mean,
do you think like they would be tasked with calling plays? Would Nate Shieldhouse be given the head coach and be told to be the play caller?
No, I don't, because
Okay.
he's not done that before,
Yes,
right? And
yes.
and that's the difference. Kevin did it. I mean, that was Kevin's calling card when he came here, right? Oh, he's great play caller. He's going to keep doing it. That was until Ken Dorsey and Tommy Rees showed up. So that's all well and good. And again, that's a great talking point for us. I don't think it matters. To me, it comes down to players. Okay, I'm not trying to discount it, but it comes down to the players. I think there's more on the front office to get players in here that can play we've seen a lot of these rookies around the league. Like they got to find their Carson Schlesinger on offense desperately. They got to find their Myles Garrett on offense. They got to find their Denzel Ward on offense. Number one wide receiver is critical. You got to find a left tackle. Certainly a right tackle that can stay on the field would be very helpful at this point. You might need to add another tight end because I don't know that David Njoku comes back here. He's going to be a free agent. So there's a decision that has to be made there. And then it's the same argument or conversation we have had for the last 27 years, and that is what on earth to do at quarterback. Can you patch it? Can you find a bridge guy that can win you some games until you can develop Shedeur Sanders or somebody else? Or do you have to go swinging for the fences somewhere here in the next 2 years? But I don't. The challenge for the Browns is I don't think that there's a long-term solution at that position available to them right now. That's not to say that something can't present itself, but as we talk right now, I think that they're staring a temporary solution in the face, and they're going to need some time to figure that position out.
Any big takeaways from this weekend? Anything that you can point to and say, hey, this is what the Browns need to be doing going forward?
Well, it still boggles my mind that head coaches are giving up kicking field goals to go for it on fourth down. That obviously bit Sean Payton in the backside yesterday. But my overall takeaway from championship weekend is that you can win with average offense and a stellar defense. And it would be nice if the Browns could approach anything resembling an average offense. Because look, I know they had the boots put to them a couple of games, and we talked about that throughout the season where they got blown out by multiple scores. But there were also a lot of games this year where they were competitive, and the offense just couldn't do squat. So hopefully they can find a quality bridge quarterback to make this thing watchable for fans this fall while they continue to try and figure that position out. You need a number one wide receiver. There's no question about that. Jerry Jeudy's not a number one wide receiver. They're asking him to do things that's not in his toolbox. And then the good news is it feels like they do have a strong running game, the Browns, right, with the two young backs in Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson. The fact that they got those two young guys, I think that sets them up for some success on the ground. But you got to find some guys that can block right now, too.
Thank you for the hot times, Daryl. All the very best to you and yours.
You got it, guys. Hopefully next time we talk, we got a head coach, right?
Yeah. It'd be awesome. Daryl Ruiter. Brought to you by Owen. What are they brought to you by?
Shibe Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.